work very hard. But let me say, I think many people don't understand the relationship of Common Core to the assessments and then to the teacher evaluations. And those are really three separate things, but they are intertwined. We have to have much more communication to our parents and our teachers about the importance of testing. I was with the superintendent today that said she had a high opt-out rate, and she doesn't have information that she needs to be able to plan training for teachers, support for teachers, and what happens with the children who actually needs extra help.
I mean, but that was deliberate, right? That was exactly what the union wanted, right? Was that to have too little information for them to be meaningfully evaluated because they didn't want to be evaluated, right?
Well, and let me say that the school districts were also told that in case that were to happen, they have to have the other alternatives for assessments for their teachers. So we're looking at all that right now. But I will tell you, I think that it's important, and we have to communicate its importance, that students participate in the assessments because of the information that it can give to us about what we need to do to be better and what they need to do to be better.
You've also said that federal Title I funding could be withheld from schools that have, beyond a certain point, a lot of students opting out. Is that likely to happen?
Well, it's in the law that, in fact, the federal government has the ability to do that. They would actually decrease the funding to New York State, and then they would do it based on those school districts that didn't participate. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I think that is an option that could happen, and I think we need to be very proactive in New York State to address this issue.
New York has one of the lowest graduation rates of on-time graduation rates for black boys. Is there a plan to change that?
Yes. Well, let me say there are many issues that relate to that. One of them is making sure all students have opportunities for the coursework that would be necessary, and that they have support to be able to pass that coursework. Regent Lester Young from the city is heading a team right now to review that and going to make recommendations to myself and the regents. I'm part of the group. I think it's very important for us to look at that issue. And it's clear, both Hispanic and African American, particularly African American boys, that is the truth.
There's an organization, the Eagle Academy. I don't know if you've visited them. But
I have. I haven't visited them, but when I was superintendent, one of my assistant superintendents went to the Eagle Academy. We've had conversations with them. They've done some very good work, and I think we need to look at great models like that and say, how can we replicate these across the board in our schools?
This is where I was going with that. I mean, they not only have 100% graduation rate, but 100% of the graduates went on to college. I mean, it's literally like a grand slam home run, and I would just think you would just, create one in every major city in the state, and there you go.
Well, so an interesting thing about the Eagle Academy is students select to go there. Students have to, there's not a regular kind of schedule for them. They go longer days. They also, my understanding is they go on Saturdays. Those are all things that are not necessarily part of the environment in a regular public school. But there's no question that we can do some things specifically to address the needs that we have of our African American males.
And in our last minute, I see just over 35% of city students in grades 3 through 8 passed the math exams, which is 1 point up from last year here in the city.
Absolutely.
Is that acceptable? I mean, are we supposed to be, throwing confetti and cheering that we're up 1 point? With such low numbers?
So let me say this. I think what we have to do is look at the direction that we're going, okay? We are better than we were. The New York City schools have done a good job in moving the agenda of higher standards. When you have higher standards and assessment that match those standards, it's going to be more difficult for kids to score higher. But the point is, we went in the right direction across the board. You see increases in the language art ELA here in the city, and I think that's an important thing to look at. And what we have to do is take the kind of things that you mentioned with the Eagle Academy, find the best models and duplicate those models across the city. And I know that Chancellor Farina is working to make sure that the training that is put in place for teachers is going to help them to move their classes. And you're seeing some of the effects of that. New York had a relatively small percentage of opt-outs. And so I think that helps. So she has more students that she has more information on that she can then use with her teachers to improve.
Okay. We will be talking more and more as we get into the school year. Thanks so much for giving us so much information. Very nice to have you on board, and look forward to speaking with you again real soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to take a short break now. Straight ahead, we'll talk topless Times Square and more with Curtis Leeway and Herson Barrero. That's in the weekly.